There is a specific version of intelligence that looks almost nothing like intelligence. It swears, it procrastinates, it lies awake at 2 in the morning, aggressively winning an argument with a person who has no idea the conversation is even happening. Most people look at these traits and see anxiety, awkwardness, or arrogance. Many spend their lives wondering why the things that seem to come naturally to everyone else feel so difficult, fearing that their brain is somehow defective. Cognitive psychology identifies these behaviors as the standard outputs of a complex neurological architecture. We have been taught to associate high intelligence with calm, endless focus and effortless certainty. Research reveals a noisier reality. Genuine high IQ is hyper-aware and often deeply inconvenient to live with. When the brain processes reality with this level of detail, behavior inevitably shifts. Recognizing these patterns as the byproduct of cognitive complexity allows for a clear analysis of your own mental habits. We see the first visible results of this processor in how it handles language. This chart tracks data from a study published in Language Sciences. Researchers asked participants to generate as many swear words as possible in 60 seconds, followed by as many animal names. The results show a clear positive correlation. As the data moves into this upper right quadrant, it reveals high lexical fluency. The people who knew the most profanity also knew the most animals. This suggests that swearing isn't an indicator of a limited vocabulary. It shows an individual who has access to every corner of the dictionary and selects specific words for their exact emotional weight. This same processing applies to humor. Laughing at a funeral or a tense presentation often signals the involuntary recognition of a structural absurdity. Finding a dark situation funny requires the brain to process two conflicting realities, identify the collision point, and resolve it instantly. Then there is the unending internal rehearsal. You're in the shower running 3 separate iterations of a conversation that isn't scheduled until Thursday. Cognitive scientists call this predictive modeling. The brain is running stress simulations, mapping the emotional logic of others and testing variables before they happen. These traits, lexical fluency, the recognition of absurdity, and constant simulation are the hallmarks of a system that lacks a natural off switch. This processing power creates constant friction when it interacts with everyday environments. If you spend a weekend with someone who speaks slowly, your own tempo may drop. If you catch an accent, your brain might adopt its cadence within minutes. Psychologists call this linguistic accommodation. It is a sign of high-speed pattern recognition. Your system perceives an underlying social code and begins running it automatically. That sensitivity extends to physical spaces. A study of Mensa members revealed disproportionately high rates of sensory processing sensitivity, a phenomenon called the hyperbrain hyperbody effect. A loud restaurant or a flickering office light can derail deep focus because the neural architecture absorbs significantly more environmental signal than average. This friction targets authority as well. Research from the European Journal of Social Psychology correlates high cognitive ability with a physical resistance to illogical rules. The mind resists when asked to accept a false premise simply because of the speaker's title. Yet this same system can stall. You might handle minor errands and emails effortlessly, only to find yourself procrastinating on the creative projects or strategic moves that matter most. This high-stakes stalling is often a defense mechanism. A mind capable of brilliant execution is equally capable of modeling potential failure in terrifying detail. The brain delays action to shield a high-value idea from the friction of reality. These social and sensory frictions occur when a hyper-aware system attempts to protect its internal logic from outside noise. Connection also carries a specific cost. Having a highly analytical mind makes human intimacy a complex equation. You spot the micro-inconsistencies between what a partner says and what they do. You often anticipate the trajectory of a relationship, processing the shift in a dynamic months before the other person feels it. Intimacy requires a level of surrender, a willingness to step out of evaluation. A brain designed to analyze and protect resists that surrender by default. This standard applies to yourself, too. When you encounter a false fact, you feel a physical tension known as epistemic humility. You drop your own assumptions the second they fail your internal scrutiny, preferring the discomfort of being wrong over the safety of an unexamined belief. The refusal to accept unearned certainty or blindly surrender to a flawed dynamic can feel isolating. It is the price of intellectual integrity. Finally, there is the paradox of self-doubt. The people with the highest capability often second-guess themselves more than those with a fraction of their skill. This is the inverted Dunning-Kruger effect. As the circle of your knowledge expands, its circumference, the boundary with the unknown, gets exponentially larger. Mastery breeds hesitation because you are the only one in the room capable of seeing the edge cases and unresolved variables. Sensory overload, conversational simulations, and constant hesitation are the unavoidable outputs of a complex mind. Your nervous system operates at a level of resolution most people rarely experience. The goal is learning to master the architecture you are given, rather than trying to fit into a world built for average processing. Subscribe to Brain Library for deconstructions of human psychology and cognitive mastery. Tell me in the comments, which of these signs did you recognize first? Click the next video on screen